So we do the same for our community. We say, all right, if we have someone like Rock and we have benefit from him, we'll bring him to the community. He spoke and he's going to speak at another event. We meet you and you're an expert in raising caps. We say, great, let's bring Brad in. Let's show him that. So we're constantly bringing people like that, not just the tax person, to the table so that they can do exactly what we're doing to have the success at all levels. Like we teach the same skill sets to everybody. So why do people come out of the gate and do a deal in 40 days?
Hey, welcome back, Beasts. It's your host of Beast Nation, the second highest ranked podcast, according to Yahoo Finance and Yahoo News, to help people cope with COVID-19. And today is no different than any other. A lot of people refer to me as Robin Hood. Why? Because I bring knowledge and information from people that have it and I share it with people that need it. Today, I'm very excited. We're going to be talking to a stud when it comes to investing in real estate. Chris Prefontaine is the author of 2 books, one called Real Estate on Your Terms, the other, New Rules of Real Estate Investing. And he is the founder of a phenomenal program called Smart Real Estate Coach based out of Middleton, Rhode Island. So Chris, welcome to Beast Nation, my friend.
Thanks for having me. I just love the name, Brad. I think it's the best name for a show.
Well, you know, we try to create beasts. I like to say that we have a lot of beasts that we work with around the world, but I'm real excited to have you today. You know, I'd like to share your story with all of our listeners because it's obviously amazing. I've been a real estate investor, started in single family, and of course have scaled from there and now do big syndicated deals. But tell us a little bit about your backstory. How did you get started doing what you're doing today?
Yeah, so at the risk of dating myself, because I go back to 91 doing this stuff, but you know, up to 2008, I did a little of everything, literally, except for large apartment complexes, just by choice. I hadn't touched those. And then the '08 crash really did a number on me. So it caused us to say, okay, if we are going to go back into real estate, what does it look like? What's the box look like? What do the rules look like? And so we defined that, and that was to buy everything on terms, not taking out bank financing we have to sign personally. And that was because I didn't have credit, it got trashed, and not putting cash up because I didn't have any cash, that got trashed. So that therein, re-engineered the whole business to what we do today. And so I operate it with my son, Nick, my son-in-law, Zach, a great team. And we buy and sell in our immediate area, but we also teach and do deals around North America with people.
I love that, you know, and I'm a firm believer that you have to be creative. You have to think outside of the box. I remember when I was investing in real estate, a number of people that were much bigger and much more successful than me said, the last thing you ever want to do is become a real estate agent. Yeah. Because the second you do that, you are obligated to use the standardized contracts and use all the forms here in Texas, the Texas Real Estate Commission. You cannot draft your own documents. You can really do nothing creative. And so it was the wife that's working on becoming the agent, but the investor always stays an investor. Now, let me ask you, were you always a real estate investor, or did you have a prior career where real estate was something you did to create horizontal streams of income and then went into that professionally later in life? I mean, is this something that you've always done?
Yeah, good question. So I grew up in a family company and it had nothing to do with real estate except for one tie. It was a industrial gas and welding supply business, like nothing to do with real estate. But my dad would, and I was there all the time, my dad would buy land and build his own buildings and lease it back to the company. And as a youngster, I was like, what do you mean you lease it to you? I didn't get that whole thing until I learned how that works. So then I just understood that piece of it and I was excited about it. And then he would flip deals with his partners and play around real estate, always land development, and never building or anything that needed his time, but just played with real estate and land. So that got me interested in it. And then 91, when he sold his company, I had just started building some homes with a partner. I wasn't a builder. I was kind of the office guy. And that's what got me into real estate. But yeah, since 91, I've been at real estate in some shape, form, or fashion.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. Fantastic. So you obviously have been doing this for almost 30 years now. And like you said, kind of learned a very expensive lesson in, 07, 08, of course, the recession. I think a lot of people did. I certainly did as well. Yeah. But obviously came out of that now much better prepared with the knowledge you have today in terms of creating your own terms and really avoiding the traditional lenders, the banks, et cetera. Can you define for everybody kind of what it means to, you know, buy and invest in real estate on your own terms?
Yeah, so terms to us, because you can, different meanings differentiate. One is owner financing, but there's a niche there within the niche, and that is free and clear property, Brad. So free and clear, people are debt free in their home, and we're structuring deals with them where we can get them to their price as long as we get a long enough term, because punchline, we do principal only payments with that. We can talk about that later. So that's owner financing, lease purchase, mostly sandwich leases. The only place you can't do those is Texas, but you can still do a derivative of that. And then the third is subject to existing financing. Those are the three things we do, because if you look at our portfolio right now, 60 some odd properties at any one time, none of those ever are we on personally on a loan, ever. They're always in someone else's name or owner financing. And so that's why we do those three types of deals. It was born out of the recession.
I love it. You know, that's exactly how I got started as an investor. It was subject to learning about that, educating myself on that, and then really, of course, doing mailings and, you know, using the bandit signs that a lot of real estate investors have to really just build the brand and awareness so that my phone would start to ring. And then, of course, going out and meeting with homeowners. One of the things I think that a lot of people really get hung up on, you know, with subject to, either they never move forward or they never take action. With subject to, of course, is the due on sale clause. That, of course, is part of a mortgage contract. How do you guys address that? I mean, how do you get around that? Or is it just something that you overlooked?
Well, a couple of things. It's not that we overlook it. I had my attorney in town. He's a friend of mine too. I own a building with him in Illinois, a big apartment building. And he said, look, Chris, he had a junior attorney that was going to look at our deals, all our terms deals. And he has now. But when he first looked at them in 2012, he said, oh, I don't know if I can do those. And the senior attorney sat him down and said, look, there is nothing illegal or wrong. It's a contractual issue, period. And so I tell my students, pay the bill, like pay the mortgage payment. And I personally have never had an issue with hundreds of deals because we pay the mortgage payment. To my knowledge, banks aren't in the business of taking property unless you mess up, right? So that's been my experience. I'm not an attorney, but we've had zero issue with it. Now, we do some things, Brad, to be careful. We, for example, put it into a trust, and the trust will be named the property address with usually the person's last name, because since the Garment St. Germain Act, when you can move property in you know, as a family, that sometimes I feel safeguards us, provides another little layer. But again, I'm not an attorney. I just like doing that. I think it's safer. So that's the short answer.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You know, and that is the answer I was looking for, because you want to remove yourself, or at least hold yourself to a degree at arm's length from obviously any real estate. We create here in Texas series LLCs because we're able to use series under a master LLC, and it works out really, really nicely. But you know, I've done probably 20 subject twos, and as long as you pay the mortgage, you're totally fine. That's exactly what I've done. And of course, that's what I share with people that I've guided and trained along the way. You know, the mortgage companies and the lenders, they're not in the business of owning real estate. That's really the last thing they want to do. So it all comes down to just continuing to make the payments until hopefully someday you can do a cash out refinance and obviously either sell the property outright or do a cash out and pull out some of the equity. Tell us about one of the more creative deals you've done where you guys really had to think outside the box and do something really, really creative that was a win-win.
Well, I mean, there's a whole bunch of, because most of our deals, what keeps me in the game is most of our deals are different. Like you can say owner financing or sandwich lease, but they're all different. So we had a home that this one to this day, people shake their head. It wasn't that it was crazy creative. It was just different. It was, we still have it. It's an oceanfront home on an area called Cape Cod. Up on a bluff, beautiful, open ocean. Okay,
I think most people are very familiar with Cape Cod.
Yeah. So really cool views. Everything's perfect. The house is about $1 million home. A realtor owns it, and the realtor ended up talking to my son-in-law Zach, and long story short, he structured a deal with her where we bought it for $945. Now we broke the mold with no money down. We put $9,000 down, I think, right around there, give or take. But still, for $1 million home. Yeah. And we paid her transfer tax in Massachusetts, might have been $4,500 or something like that. So fairly insignificant. With the way we structure deals, Brad, we create 3 paydays on every deal anyway. So we just wait till the deal's closed and we moved it over. So then here's the crazy part. So she said, I don't want to leave yet though. She just wanted closure mentally. She had a sick mom. She said, I don't want to leave yet. So I'll stay in the home for a year And I'll give you guys, originally I think it was a 4-year term, but here's the structure. $2,500 a month, principal only payments to her. That's how we do them.
Yep.
But she said, as long as I'm in the home, you won't make a payment to me. I'll credit you $2,500 a month as if you did, but I won't pay you rent.
Wow.
And I will pay the taxes and I will maintain the house. All we had to do was put insurance on it.
Yeah.
So we kept saying, and our students go, why did she do it? Okay, so it gets crazier. So she stays in the home. She calls us and says, can I extend it? We extend it. We said, but to extend it, we need an extended term too, because once you're out, we need time. We said, okay. Then recently she moved out and she went to go get a home. She called us back. She just last month moved back in the home and is renting from us for $5,000 a month. We pay her $2,500 a month principal. It's the craziest thing. So we have it on the market and she's in it. We have it on for like 1-2 right now because we figured we might as well get rid of it. But then she comes back in the picture and my kids are saying, my son and son-in-law are saying, she's probably going to be the one that buys it now back. I don't know, but that feels crazy. $30,000 a year coming off of principal just by sitting there.
That's fantastic. You know, what's always amazed me as a real estate entrepreneur, as an investor, is I think it was about the 7th or 8th house I did subject to. I was actually introduced to a woman that was moving from Houston to Oklahoma. And she had a couple of rental properties that she wanted to get out of. And so I took a look at her portfolio and we moved forward on a 2 of 3. And she told me that, you know, this particular property that I'm willing to give to you, I've had a long-term tenant in there. And I said, well, when you say long-term, how long-term is long-term? And this individual actually was a petroleum landman working in the oil and gas industry that had been renting from her for 20 years. And I said, that guy's never going to move. I'm like, why does somebody rent a house for 20 years rather than just go and outright buy it? You know, I mean, he could have owned it at this point almost. Yeah. And so he, of course, continued to pay me until he passed. And then, of course, we had to deal with the estate and settling that. But, you know, it's amazing that some people just have a preference to rent versus buy. Either they travel or they don't want the headaches and the hassles that come, of course, with ownership. As was the case with this individual. You know, one thing that I've always looked at as a coach and as a person really that helps people hopefully transform their belief system, because our beliefs define our reality, hopefully to get us to a better place in life, is a lot of people get stuck. They want to invest in real estate. They know that real estate is one of the easiest, best ways to create wealth. They see everybody doing it, but it's because they lack capital or they lack knowledge. You've got a great program out there called the Smart Real Estate Coach. What would you tell people that want to get started as a real estate investor, but maybe are stuck? In other words, they're not taking action on that desire or that goal of doing something.
Yeah, a couple of things, regardless of the niche, and you could use this outside of real estate too, but here's what I say, and we could dig deep if you want, but I say this. First of all, pick a niche that you can get behind. Like, obviously I'm biased to mine, you're biased to yours. Great. There's a lot of great niches out there. That's why you and I talk to all these different people on purpose. So find the niche you can get behind. Like, then step it up and say, all right, success leaves clues. Like, no matter what you want to do, I don't care if it's real estate, flying a kite, doesn't matter. Someone did it already. So just go find them, like seek out whoever in that niche that not only is still doing it, but weathered some storms and weathered some markets. I personally think it's huge. And I know the young people step on me because I say that because they say, well, I had success since 08. Great, but that's not a good teacher. So find someone in the niche that weathered at least 1 or 2 markets in 1 or 2 storms, like you and I, 9/11 and COVID, right? There's 2 storms. Right. My son's accident, like, so you had to weather those things. And then 3, stay with it for 36 months. Like, there are so many niches and sub-niches and sub-niches. You will get shiny object syndrome if you don't stay with it for 36 months. Yeah. So as far as being stuck, I know it's a mindset general comment, but if you're, especially during COVID, if you're looking for something better and you do those 3 steps, you will have a great experience, period. It's the 3rd step, staying with it, that people get tripped up, I think.
Yeah, I call it long in one direction, or, you know, it's just discipline. It's, you know, you got to stay at it. It's, you know, showing up every day, being present. So many people get started on something. They, you know, hit the first obstacle and then they give up, right? they don't commit, they don't take action. And it's all about just, keeping at it, whittling away, and getting the knowledge you need, which is so very important. Now, one aspect that I love about real estate, and it's the reason, of course, that I'm in it in a very big way, are the tax benefits that so many people don't even know about. Real estate investing is truly one of the greatest tax shelters out there. And it's not just for the amortization, it's for all the other benefits that you're able to take advantage of as well. In your coaching program, Smart Real Estate Coach, do you touch upon some of the tax benefits? Do you teach people actually how to set up their real estate business so that when they get started, they're actually able to maximize some of the things like office deductions and, some of the things that you and I are both aware of?
Yeah, so what we do, this is a great point because it has offshoots. As far as the tax piece, we connect them with our CPA because our CPA understands our 3 payday system that we trademarked, understands terms deals. And for you to go out and even do 2 deals, let alone a whole bunch, you're going to make a mess when you go to do your taxes. Yeah. So yes, we do that. There's all kinds of things with capital gains, how you treat the 3 paydays that we create because they're not really taxable till the contract's executed or defaulted on. There's all kinds of nuances. So yes, we connect them with our team. So it's like, Brad, we do, how you and I met was meeting someone else that we both network with in a mutual friend and JV partner, so to speak. So we do the same for our community. We say, all right, if we have someone like Rock and we have benefit from him, we'll bring him to the community. He spoke and he's going to speak at another event. We meet you and you're an expert in raising caps. We say, great, let's bring Brad in. Let's show him that. So we're constantly bringing people like that, not just the tax person, to the table so that they can do exactly what we're doing to have the success at all levels. Like we teach the same skill sets to everybody. So why do people come out of the gate and do a deal in 40 days, but the same material, different person does it in a year? Why? Yeah. It's all those other things.
Right. Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes total sense. Now, one thing that I hear you saying over and over that I want to really get some clarity on and really dig a little deeper on is this thing that you keep saying, 3 payday. Tell us about 3 paydays, because I think that is brilliant.
I think it's huge because for any business model, if you could get now money, continuous money, and then long term, like that's a home run. Everybody go, yeah, show me how to do that. So on the deals, we do it this way. We exit up most of our deals, at least at the start, with a rent to own vehicle for a buyer. Okay. And during COVID, it's helping a whole bunch of people that got pushed to the sidelines because of bank criteria. Even though rates are good, they're getting pushed aside for credit and other reasons. So the 3 paydays are non-refundable down payment. Payday 1, we average around 28 grand. Our family team, our students are above and below that. Yeah. Payday 2 is a difference between, say, what we're paying that woman that I told you about that deal and what we can collect. In that case, it was $2,500. That's a big spread. Normally, it's smaller. Yep. And then the 3rd payday is pretty neat because it's the markup on the home less any principal plus any principal pay down over the term of the deal, which for us is huge. So our average 3 paydays is about 75 grand. Our students are 45 low to 250. Wow. California, some cool deals. One closed last month. His 3 paydays, Mike in Fresno, was like 185 grand.
That's fantastic. So, I mean, that's life-changing. That's changing someone's life.
Yeah.
Because I tell people, if you can get involved in real estate or really, it's any business, it's not just real estate. You can buy, build or scale a business, and you can collect one time where you're physically holding a check for $100,000 and put that in the bank and invest that wisely. That's a game changer. People think they need millions, they need to either inherit or they need to do something and create, millions of dollars. And I tell people, most people in the United States, folks, do not have even $10,000, let alone $100,000. I mean, it's sad. It saddens me. People want to hire me as a coach and they can't even afford $325 a month. And these people are, middle-aged in their late 30s, 40s, which is another couple of years to retirement. And they don't have 2 nickels to rub together. But if you can learn from somebody like me, or obviously somebody, in real estate like Chris, and get to the point where you're, clipping what I call these little coupons, 20,000 here, 50,000 here, 100,000 there, and put that money away and bank it, or as my good friend Bobby Castro likes to say, rack it and stack it. It's a game changer, because I believe that as you go through life and as you start building wealth, you have to build a foundation. You know, the experts, financial planners will say, you know, you should have 4 to 6 months of cash and liquid for, you know, emergencies, unforeseen events, you lose your job or whatever, and then you start investing and building from there. Real estate, folks, is one of the biggest, best ways to do it for a number of reasons. Number one, of course, is the fact that real estate historically appreciates in value. And as they say, the locational qualities, they ain't making any more of it. But it's also the tax benefits. And the thing that I love about it, much like investing in the stock market, is leverage.
Yeah, big time.
And you talk about leverage and how leverage works in real estate, because that's one of the keys to creating wealth, Chris. You and I both know that.
Yeah, leverage is neat because I was on a radio show, you'll appreciate this, and they were more stock market driven. And it's not that I have anything against that. I just said, and she was getting all kinds of call-ins when I was on the show, but because I simply said in our deals, I can for lease purchase use $10, or for owner financing, 500 to 10,000, yeah. And I can control millions. Like, here's a direct example. At our last event, we had everybody stand up, the last live event. So last September 19th, said, stand up if you've done a deal. They all stood up. We controlled about 70 million in real estate. We said, stay standing. If you put up, we started at 10,000, we went all the way down. The total that anyone's ever put up on any of their properties was maxed out at 2,500, and it was low as $10. Okay. So if that's the fact, how in the stock market, what can you do? You can maybe have a what do you call it, a margin account, but without that, you get zero leverage, and the margin you can go backwards on you.
Right, that's true.
And okay, and then here's the other piece with leverage with that. A stock absolutely can 100% go to zero.
Yep.
You can. In our real estate, you and I, if the market tanks, cannot go to zero. I don't think it can go to zero. I haven't figured it out. So big leverage is so much easier and powerful in real estate.
Yeah, it is. You know, and I've been a big believer of using leverage in real estate, controlling assets. And, you know, as Robert Kiyosaki and my good friend Sharon Lechter would say, who we've interviewed on the show, it's really creating financial literacy, understanding how to create horizontal streams of income. Because once you build horizontal streams of income where you have mailbox money listeners, you become bulletproof. My good friend Antonio Smith Jr., who literally spent years living out of dumpsters and in garbage cans, and today he's got a net worth in the multi-millions, says, don't care about the economy, create your own. Once you create your own economy, you really don't care so much about what's going on in the rest of the world, because you've got checks coming in, you got real estate going up in value, and you're really just focused on, you know, building and increasing your net worth. Now, let me ask you, Chris, today, is it only single family primarily that you and your boys specialize in, or do you have some multifamily in the portfolio as well?
No, we have multis too. We literally, by choice, one time said, hey, let's add a couple what we call keepers, right? Yeah. So we targeted who we wanted to target, though. We targeted free and clear, multiple owners between 4 and 10 units. Why? That's what we're looking for. So we did them both owner financing. One was in my IRA. We already flipped out of it, but you know, that's a good example of $500 from an IRA, 28 months later, 116 grand back in on a terms deal. Yeah, that's a win. And so we have those, and then we have our own office building. Today I'm at my home office with you, but we have an office building that we did owner financing, 20-year terms. I didn't go to the bank. I didn't have to put 35% down. I didn't have to go through all the credit and the flashlight, all of your personal stuff. I didn't have to do any of that. So yeah, you can do this with anything, as you know, Brad, but planes, cars, boats, it doesn't matter. Terms deals are conducted and have since 1800s with every kind of asset you can imagine. We just teach across the platform single families, but you're going to run into all the deals that you can go seek them out if you want.
That's fantastic. You know, one thing that I want you to spend some time on, because a lot of people don't understand this. They don't have the knowledge that you're sharing today. And I think it's one of the most brilliant strategies out there, because real estate tends to appreciate, and it's a phenomenal way, obviously, to mitigate one of the two things in life that I absolutely hate, and that is moving and taxes. And you hit the nail on the head. Can you touch upon the strategy of investing in real estate inside your self-directed IRA?
Sure. And again, when I talk, always, I'm talking about my personal experience. So I want to make sure I'm clear on that, because I'm not an advisor in any way. So what I found to be best is I have my IRA invest a whopping $1,000 into an LLC. That LLC is not managed. It can't be by me. It's managed by someone else. It happens to be my CPA. And the owner of that is who? My IRA, Quest IRA in my case. So that beats me going to the administrator every single time I want to do a deal. I can just do it out of the LLC. The LLC then does deals just like I described, terms deals. Instead of taking chunks of 20, 30, 40, 50 grand, which it could, it just does $1,000, $500 deposits and controls, back to your leverage point, a whole bunch of real estate inside of that IRA controlled LLC. Very simple. Now I can't take draws out of that. I can't do anything. It has to go back to the administrator. But that's a phenomenal way. Once you fix your monthly cash flow, in my opinion. So you come in, if you're one of my students, I say, okay, what's the number? What do we got to break even with you comfortably to have a nice lifestyle? Everything after that, why don't you plow it into your IRA owned LLC? Why not? And probably some serious capital. Yeah,
I mean, and it's a brilliant strategy. I mean, I'm very familiar with Quest as a custodian in a self-directed IRA. I've done it myself. My sister-in-law has owned a bunch of real estate in her self-directed IRA. And the beautiful part about that, listeners, is that obviously the appreciation, all of the growth is going to continue to stay inside the IRA and continue to grow tax deferred until you ultimately take it out. Now, if you're doing it in a Roth, of course, where you pay taxes on the contributions on the money that went in, then, of course, when you pull the money out on the back end, it's tax-free income. So it's a great strategy, something that if you're listening to this and you're hearing about it, you definitely want to learn and know more about. Check out, obviously, Chris's coaching program, Smart Real Estate Coach. Hit him up, and I'm sure he'll be more than happy to share some of these strategies with you, which is fantastic. Now, did your boys start in the real estate with you, or did they have prior careers, jobs? They went to college and then decided to get into the family business. What's the story about working with your boys?
Sure. So Nick obviously grew up with me, and my daughter Kayla grew up around us, Kim and I doing real estate, my wife and I. So Nick was always around it from the '08 crash, which is coincidentally when he got his license as a realtor in '08. He was next to me in an office and witnessed all the crap I had to go through. And so he learned a lot the hard way through that. And then in 2014, he actually joined me in the terms business. So he had the background. Zach, my son-in-law, who married Kayla, had zero background in real estate. He was a personal trainer and a bartender. We live in a resort area. And so in end of 15, he came into the company then and has grown just immensely. He's proud owner and he coaches all over the country now.
That's fantastic. It just shows that you don't have to have, what's the word? A background. I mean, it's like, I tell people I can teach anybody how to raise capital. It doesn't matter, what your past was. It's really, what does your future look like?
And they're coachable, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely, and it's really just about taking action. It's about having the desire, having the goal, and then getting the knowledge and taking action. But it's really one of those things. It's like anybody can learn how to do this. If you want to learn how to buy a home and move into it because you're currently living in an apartment, you got to take action. And I explain to people, don't think you have to go through, quote, traditional underwriting. You don't have to go through a mortgage company. You don't have to go through the rectal exam, providing tax returns and yada-da. Learn how to acquire property subject to, learn how to do some of these creative strategies that Chris has been talking about, and then move your family into a nice house with a backyard and, all of the amenities that you're looking for, and then do it again, and then do it again, and start building your wealth. I'm talking to a young kid now. He's, I think, 24, 25. His goal is to buy 1 4-plex a year for the next 5 years. He'll have 20 units. And of course, with the growth and the appreciation, that's his strategy. And I'm like, well, why stop there? Why don't you do 2? Why don't you do 3? But that's just me talking. But, this has certainly been fantastic. And this has certainly been great. Talk to us a little bit about the 2 books you have that you've written. Are they similar or are they different? Would you recommend somebody start with one book before they read the other?
Okay, good question. They are different. In 2017, I wrote Real Estate on Your Terms. It was a bestseller. We literally, and it was right after we mailed you your copy, we literally just got to print with a revised edition that came out right after COVID. So it's very, very current. That's the base foundational book. At the end, remind me, I'll give you a link. We can give them all a free link to the electronic version and they can get it. Or they can go to Amazon if they want the hard copy.
Wonderful.
The second book was New Rules of Real Estate, where we bring in 24 different experts like yourself and others that talk about their niche. And then we have some mindset space in there too, from people like Dr. Joe Vitale from The Secret, because just as we talked about earlier, all that other stuff is important to put into the mix here. And that was co-authored with my son-in-law, Zach, and my son, Nick. So we have different comments and points of view on each chapter. So it is quite different.
Fantastic. Now, obviously teaching, subject to and how to buy real estate on your terms. One thing that I've actually done a few times, not as much as I'd like to, because here in Texas, they're a little bit more difficult to find, are the tax deeds. Basically, these tax sales, where basically as an investor, you pay someone that is in arrears on their taxes. And if they don't pay you back, man, it's a home run. Is that something that you've ever done, or do you teach for people that are interested in what they call the sheriff's sales or the tax deed certificates as a way to acquire real estate?
I have good friends that teach it. One of them's in that book. So I don't teach it. We've done it. We had an individual in our office running that at one time, and then we just weighed the return on time for what we're doing now and stopped her doing that. But phenomenal strategy, sure. Yeah. But that goes back to, for the listeners to know, Brad, I know you know, that goes back to like find the niche that you're going to crank on for a while. Then you can maybe add some profit centers, but get really good. That was the 36-month thing at one niche first, and then seek out, like there's experts in that field for sure. Seek them out and then learn that, or tack that onto your business with another individual.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, tell us about Smart Real Estate Coach. Tell us where people can access information, where people can find you, how they can learn more about the various coaching programs that you have.
Yeah, they can just go, if they don't mind listening to me for another half hour, they can go to the free webinar, and that's found at smartrealestatecoach.com. Pretty much everything is. They can schedule a free strategy call. I'll give that to your listeners if you'd like. They can go to smartrealestatecoach.com/action. Okay. And that'll get them a free strategy call, 15 minutes with myself, Zach, or our strategy expert, Brian. It'll be a good call, be content driven to get you in the right direction, especially with the new year coming up. And if you're hearing this later, maybe it's a new quarter. It's okay. Get you set up for the next leg.
Wonderful. Now, do you have anything available as a free gift or giveaway if somebody sends an email to you or to someone on your team where you have an ebook or something like that that you can share this afternoon as well?
Yeah, you know what we can do? I'll give them the brand new release. And literally, we got, I think it was yesterday, the printed version came. So go to free, SRECbook.com.
Free, SRECbook.com.
Yep. SREC for Smart Real Estate Coach.
Fantastic. We'll put that in, obviously, the content when we actually release and upload the podcast version. Great. So everybody knows exactly where to go to get that. But Chris, I can't thank you enough. For those of you that are listening that literally want to change your life, that want to create abundance, that want to create wealth, I've been there, done it, folks. There's no easier, more proven strategy than real estate. But understand, if you're going to do it through real estate, you got to get the knowledge. It is so easy to lose money in real estate if you don't know what you're doing. Trust me, it's expensive tuition. You don't want to take possession of a house and then get into the rehab and find behind the walls or under the carpet problems that you didn't know when you took possession. So get the knowledge, get the training, learn from Chris Prefontaine. Chris, thank you so much for being an awesome, fantastic guest on this episode of Beast Nation.
Thank you, Brad. Look forward to doing more together.
Absolutely, my friend.